guys, welcome to another TFL Top 5, and this one I'm really looking forward to, Nathan.
Yeah, me too, especially because it's the top 6.
That's right. Not only do you get an extra one, but you get an extra one and you get the top 5 sports car bargains. And these are kind of interesting because they're not what you'd expect.
No, we're not exactly doing bargains in terms of what you can buy that's cheap power. These are vehicles that you can buy, but there's something that is within the same league that you could get that's a lot more expensive.
Yeah, so let's give them an example. Let's start with number 6. Go for it.
Number 6 is the 2017 Camaro SS with the 1LE package. It sells for around $42,000.
Now that's a bargain because that engine is in another car that sells for a lot more, and that's of course the Chevy Corvette. So for $15,000, now these numbers are in the ballpark, they're not exact. For $15,000 less, you can get a car that the Camaro's chief engineer has told me is actually faster than the Corvette around the track.
Which is kind of crazy, and not everybody's going to agree with him, but he is the chief engineer. I mean, he's the guy, right? Who said this. But the bottom line is this, that, you know, if you want the bargain, get the Camaro. I mean, $15,000 is a lot of money.
Yeah, you get a faster car.
Yep.
You get the same engine, basically, and you get the same manufacturer. And you save $15,000 that you can go and buy a used Jeep or something to go off-roading. I mean, that's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah, but the other side of it is you can, I mean, look at the Corvette. It's a gorgeous car, and it says you've arrived. It kind of has that.
It says you have a big belt buckle.
So yeah, it does that. It does. It does. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Right. So you see where we're going with this, guys? How you're able to save money, get a really good bargain, and at the same time, you know, our opinions are part of this.
All right, number 5 is the BMW M2, which is basically a BMW M4 for a lot less.
It is, and the difference price-wise is huge. First of all, the BMW M2 for 2016, around $54,000. The difference is $24,000 between the two.
Yeah, I mean, you get 2 more numbers, right?
Right.
You get the M and 2 more numbers, and you get, okay, so you get a little bit more electronics, you get a little bit bigger car.
Much bigger.
But in terms of driving enjoyment, hell no.
Man, that M2 is one of the best cars I've driven all year. And here's the crazy part about it. We've driven the M4, so we know what that's like. And yes, there is a lot more space. It's a lot bigger car. It has a little bit more presence. But that little M2, we had people's heads turning every time we passed by.
Yeah, and I would think, in my opinion, the M2 is actually a better car. It's much more pure. It's much more what the M car used to be. To me, the M4 is gotten a little too expensive, a little too luxurious, and BMW took it back to basics with the M2, and for $24,000, you can get 2 Jeeps, 2 used Jeeps.
That's quite a savings. So, you know, it's a significant difference between the two. And what we're saying here is that really we would both go for the M2.
Hell yeah. All right, go for number 4, please, Nathan.
Number 4 is the 2016 Volkswagen GTI versus the Golf R. Now, this is something that he and I do not agree on, but you go right ahead and talk about the prices.
Well, the GTI and the Golf R are basically the same car. Okay, there are similar features on both cars that include the chassis, that include the design, that include almost everything except for the engine and the all-wheel drive. And the difference between the two is about $13K. A GTI is $26,000, give or take. A Golf R is more like $39,000. So if you can live without all-wheel drive and a few more ponies, you get the same car for $13,000 less.
Now, don't get me wrong. I think the GTI is still one of the most brilliant vehicles that's a hot hatch. But after driving the Golf R, let me tell you, all-wheel drive and being able to throw it around a corner and having the rear end push you around that corner with the front end dragging you around the corner is huge. And that turbo engine is fantastic. Would I pay the difference? Personally, yes, I would.
You know, in Colorado, you do make a good argument because in the winter, you do want an all-wheel drive car.
Yep.
But in general, let's say you live in Florida or someplace where you don't get snow, I don't see the value. I think you're getting 90% of the car for $13,000 less. That's a huge difference.
Okay, well, we're going to agree to disagree because I damn well buy that R. Oh, I love it. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. Okay, you do number 2.
Yeah, this is a car we actually just drove.
No, number 3, sorry.
Number 3, yeah. This is a car we actually just drove, and it's the Subaru I can't believe we said we just
Yeah.
drove it. STI versus the WRX. Now the difference is about 9K. The WRX is about 27,000, and STI, well, about 10K more. And I think you should go for the WRX every time because you have a new engine.
Yep.
You have almost identical power, and you don't get that massive turbo lag you get in that old engine STI.
Yeah, the STI really, I mean, I think it's for people who long for the past of Subaru because it has that sound, young equal length headers, and it is more powerful, and the car does have a diff that can be literally tailor-made to what you're doing. But are you willing to spend that much more money on it? A lot of guys with WRXs are absolutely trouncing on everybody else out there because it's a very, very upgradable car, so to speak. So
Ultimately tunable.
very, very tunable. So the bottom line is this. I mean, are you willing to pay for a little nostalgia, or are you going to go for the less expensive, but frankly, better car?
And here's a TFL top tip from Harvey, our Subaru tuner guy.
Yeah.
He says that if you do want to tune a WRX, do not get the CVT because it cannot handle the power.
Yeah, I have driven one with the CVT and it drove okay, but the bottom line is that, manual's the way to go with those cars. All right, let's move on.
All right, number 2, and this is one that we've actually recently reviewed. It's the Ford Mustang versus the Shelby GT350. Now the difference in price is phenomenal. It's about $20,000.
That's significant.
Or more.
Or more.
If the dealer gets greedy.
And they probably will. A lot of these cars have dealer markups that you just couldn't imagine.
Yeah, and all right, so you're getting the flat plane crank, you're getting the Cobra on the car, and you're getting the Shelby name on the car.
And a lot of track capability.
Yes, that's the difference. You're getting a lot of track capability, but that engine is a track monster, but it's not grand just putting around town.
No, I mean, look, at the end of the day, are you really serious about going to the track every other week? Or are you serious about driving a fun car around that's a lot less expensive, but is pretty much just as good on regular streets? Remember, when you're driving on a street, you're not able to go flat out at 180 miles per hour. So think about that and consider the price difference.
Yeah, you gotta really crank the crank to get the most out of that car. And we've heard reports that when you do that, the crank breaks.
Yeah, there's been some reports about lack of reliability. However, we haven't verified any of that ourselves.
Yeah, it's a little bit like the old VTEC cars, right? The old Honda VTEC cars where you got to get up into the upper range before you get any real power. It's not quite as abrupt where it goes from kind of, just mild to screaming fast, but nevertheless, a regular old GT with a track pack.
Yeah, the performance package.
Yeah, is a hell of a good car, and you save $20,000.
Yeah, I agree 100%. That's really the way to go. All right, let's get to number 1. And it's kind of unusual. It's a 2017 Nissan GTR. There's 2. There's one that's $110,000, and then you have the Nismo.
The Nismo track version, yeah. We have not driven the 2017, but I have driven the 2016 with the track Nismo version, and man, that is a toothbuster. It is the hardest, the most painful, the sharpest track tool out there, which is all well and good, but man, if you want to live with that thing,
$39,000 more. And that's without markup or anything else. Now, there's a lot of guys out there who, for various reasons, want to have the fastest car out there and the best track car out there. Totally get it. But for those of you who aren't going to go to the track all the time and want to have a great car to drive around, I'd probably recommend sticking with a $110,000 regular GTR.
Yeah, and here's a good question. Would you actually get a used one? I'd be terrified of a used GTR.
Well, I know how some people have driven them, and if they haven't wrapped them around poles, it's because they've been lucky enough to put them on a track where they've beat the crap out of them before selling them on eBay. So I don't know. It's something that I would be a little scared of myself.
Yeah, there are a lot of used GTRs out there right now at bargain prices, and I think the reason the bargain is there, it's because they've used up that hand-built engine.
Yeah.
Or transmission.
Or the transmission.
Or clutch. Or drive shafts.
It's difficult to say for sure, but the bottom line is that these cars, usually when people buy a GTR, it isn't to drive down the coast comfortably.
No, you're not taking your girlfriend out for a moonlit ride.
No. You're going to hammer the crap out of it, and you're going to absolutely light things on fire. So, yeah, but that's a whole other thing with used cars. But let's get to the bonus, because I think that's a pretty cool one.
Yeah, the bonus is, of course, the car behind us, the 707 horsepower Hellcat, versus the other famous car in the same stable, which is, of course, the Viper, which cost about, $25,000 more.
Now, the Viper is going away. This is its last year. It's leaving. Roman doesn't mind. In fact, he's yelling at it and saying, go away, go away. He and I are very different in terms of our Viper thing. I love the Viper. But there are problems with it. For one thing, even I have to drive it like this in order to see out of it. It just never really got the polish it truly needed. And it's a real shame.
Yeah, I mean, you've got a 10-cylinder that puts out less horsepower than a supercharged 8-cylinder.
Yeah.
You've got a car that is about as comfortable, at least in my book, as the Nismo GTR. And you've got a car that I cannot see out of, and my head is about 20 degrees cooler than my feet because of the side pipes. And God help you if you ever touch those side pipes getting out of the car.
It is not exactly what I would call a daily commuter. However, I will say this. Given the two vehicles and the fact that you can get this one for $25,000 less, look, we've already proven it since we've owned it. The Challenger is a great, great car. And in the future, supposedly there may be an all-wheel drive one. Could you imagine?
Yeah, I would hope so.
God.
You know, that thing has a lot of issues. Horsepower isn't one of them.
Nope.
But yeah, it's got a lot of issues, and all-wheel drive would go a long way toward solving that. Not just for this one, but for any of the variants.
Any of the, yeah. But at the end of the day, even though, some guys like the Viper. They like the way it looks. They like the way it handles. They like the fact that the rear tires, each one's about that big. And, imagine what they could have done if they had taken the Hellcat engine and dropped it in a Viper. Oh my God, the Viper Cat. It would have been awesome.
Yeah, unfortunately it's going away, as is our Porsche 996. We've done about as many videos with that as possible, so before we put that up on Probably Bring a Trailer, it is all sorted. IMS bearing is replaced. We're asking about $20,000 for it, so if you're interested in a sorted 996, just email us at info@tflcar, and we'll send you, well, you know the videos. Once again, thanks guys for watching.
Take care, guys. For the Fast Lane Car, this is Nathan.
And Roman saying, check out TFL Now, where Nathan has his weekly column called Ask Nathan. So if you have any questions for this man, go over to TFL Now, because we will have your answers up there.
Hell yeah. Take care.
Ciao. Hey guys, welcome to another fun and, well, I would say fact-filled, but there may not be a lot of facts here. Just a fun episode of TFL's Top 10. And what are we doing today, Nathan?
We are asking the world to bring back cars from the dead. Actually, we're praying to get cars back from the dead that most likely will not be coming back. But that's what we're looking for. Top 10 cars that we want brought back from the dead.
All right, why don't you start with number 10?
Number 10, and I know you guys will...